If you want to find the secrets of the universe, think in terms of energy, frequency, and vibration. There is no memory or retentive faculty based on lasting impression. What we designate as memory is but increased responsiveness to repeated stimuli. The year 2100 will see eugenics universally established. In past ages, the law governing the survival of the fittest roughly weeded out the less desirable strains. Then man's new sense of pity began to interfere with the ruthless workings of nature. As a result, we continue to keep alive and to breed the unfit. By an irony of fate, my first employment was as a draftsman. I hated drawing. It was for me the very worst of annoyances. Fortunately, it was not long before I secured the position I sought, that of a chief electrician to the telephone company. The desire that guides me in all I do is the desire to harness the forces of nature to the service of mankind. Electrical science has revealed to us the true nature of light, has provided us with innumerable appliances and instruments of precision, and has thereby vastly added to the exactness of our knowledge. We wind a simple ring of iron with coils, we establish the connections to the generator, and with wonder and delight we note the effects of strange forces which we bring into play, which allow us to transform, transmit, and direct energy at will. If you only knew the magnificence of the 3, 6, and 9, then you would have a key to the universe. It is paradoxical, yet true, to say that the more we know, the more ignorant we become in the absolute sense, for it is only through enlightenment that we become conscious of our limitations. Precisely one of the most gratifying results of intellectual evolution is the continuous opening up of new and greater prospects. We are all one. The universal utilization of water power and its long-distance transmission will supply every household with cheap power and will dispense with the necessity of burning fuel. The struggle for existence being lessened, there should be development along with ideal rather than material lines. In the 21st century, the robot will take the place which slave labor occupied in ancient civilization. If your hate could be turned into electricity, it would light up the whole world. Every living being is an engine geared to the wheelwork of the universe. Though seemingly affected only by its immediate surrounding, the sphere of external influence extends to infinite distance. I do not think you can name many great inventions that have been made by married men. The history of science shows that theories are perishable. With every new truth that is revealed, we get a better understanding of nature, and our conceptions and views are modified. Of all things, I liked books best. Electrical science has disclosed to us the more intimate relation existing between widely different forces and phenomena, and has thus led us to a more complete comprehension of nature and its many manifestations to our senses. The harness of waterfalls is the most economical method known for drawing energy from the sun. There is no energy in matter other than that received from the environment. If the genius of the invention were to reveal tomorrow the secret of immortality, of eternal beauty and youth, for which all humanity is aching, the same inexorable agents which prevent a mass from changing suddenly its velocity would likewise resist the force of the new knowledge until time gradually modifies human thought. I eschew all stimulants. I also practically abstain from meat. The scientific man does not aim at an immediate result. He does not expect that his advanced ideas will be readily taken up. His work is like that of the planter, for the future. He must lay the foundation for those who are to come, and point the way. I do not think there is any thrill that can go through the human heart like that felt by the inventor as he sees some creation of the brain unfolding to success. Such emotions make a man forget food, sleep, friends, love, everything. Let the future tell the truth, and evaluate each one according to his work and accomplishments. The present is theirs, the future, for which I have worked, is mine. The Secretary of Hygiene or Physical Culture will be far more important in the cabinet of the President of the United States who holds office in the year 2035 than the Secretary of War. My belief is firm in a law of compensation. The true rewards are ever in proportion to the labor and sacrifices made. Modern science says, the sun is the past, the earth is the present, the moon is the future. From an incandescent mass, we have originated, and into a frozen mass, we shall turn. Merciless is the law of nature, and rapidly and irresistibly we are drawn to our doom. The scientific man does not aim at an immediate result. He does not expect that his advanced ideas will be readily taken up. He must lay the foundation for those who are to come, and point the way. When a coil is operated with currents of very high frequency, beautiful brush effects may be produced, even if the coil be of comparatively small dimensions. The experimenter may vary them in many ways, and, if it were nothing else, they afford a pleasing sight. We are whirling through endless space, with an inconceivable speed. All around everything is spinning, everything is moving, everywhere there is energy. Our virtues and our failings are inseparable, like force and matter. When they separate, man is no more. I do not think there is any thrill that can go through the human heart like that felt by the inventor as he sees some creation of the brain unfolding to success. Such emotions make a man forget food, sleep, friends, love, everything. If we want to reduce poverty and misery, if we want to give to every deserving individual what is needed for a safe existence of an intelligent being, we want to provide more machinery, more power. Power is our mainstay, the primary source of our many-sided energies. There is no doubt that some plant food, such as oatmeal, is more economical than meat and superior to it regarding both mechanical and mental performance. Such food, moreover, taxes our digestive organs decidedly less, and, in making us more contented and sociable, produces an amount of good difficult to estimate. Today's scientists have substituted mathematics for experiments, and they wander off through equation after equation, and eventually build a structure which has no relation to reality. With ideas, it is like with dizzy heights you climb, at first they cause you discomfort and you are anxious to get down, distrustful of your powers. But soon the remoteness of the turmoil of life and the inspiring influence of the altitude calm your blood. Your step gets firm and sure and you begin to look for dizzier heights. We may produce at will, from a sending station, an electrical effect in any particular region of the globe. We may determine the relative position or course of a moving object, such as a vessel at sea, the distance traversed by the same, or its speed. The trend of opinion among eugenists is that we must make marriage more difficult. Certainly, no one who is not a desirable parent should be permitted to produce progeny. From my childhood, I have been intended for the clergy. This prospect hung like a dark cloud on my mind. My method is different. I do not rush into actual work. When I get a new idea, I start at once building it up in my imagination, make improvements, and operating the device in my mind. When I have gone so far as to embody everything in my invention, every possible improvement I can think of, and when I see no fault anywhere, I put into concrete form the final product of my brain. The day will soon come when I will show the world that the transmission of power and speech without the aid of any wires is possible. Antisocial behavior is a trait of intelligence in a world full of conformists. Peace can only come as a natural consequence of universal enlightenment. Though free to think and act, we are held together, like the stars in the firmament, with ticks inseparable. These ticks cannot be seen, but we can feel them. Intelligent people tend to have fewer friends than the average person. The smarter you are, the more selective you become. All people everywhere should have free energy sources. Electric power is everywhere present in unlimited quantities and can drive the world's machinery without the need for coal, oil, or gas. It seems that I have always been ahead of my time. I had to wait 19 years before Niagara was harnessed by my system, 15 years before the basic inventions for wireless which I gave to the world in 1893 were applied universally. Archimedes was my ideal. I admired the works of artists, but to my mind, they were only shadows and semblances. The inventor, I thought, gives to the world creations which are palpable, which live and work. There is no conflict between the ideal of religion and the ideal of science, but science is opposed to theological dogmas because science is founded on fact. To me, a universe is simply a great machine that never came into being and never will end. The human being is no exception to the natural order. Man, like the universe, is a machine. The newspapers of the 21st century will give a mere stick in the back pages to accounts of crime or political controversies, but will headline on the front pages the proclamation of a new scientific hypothesis. All knowledge or form conception is evoked through the medium of the eye, either in response to disturbances directly received on the retina or to their fainter secondary effects and reverberations. Other sense organs can only call forth feelings which have no reality of existence and of which no conception can be formed. We have soon to have everywhere smoke annihilators, dust absorbers, ozonizers, sterilizers of water, air, food and clothing, and accident preventers on streets, elevated roads, and in subways. It will become next to impossible to contract disease germs or get hurt in the city, and country folk will get to town to rest and get well. Of the various branches of electrical investigation, perhaps the most interesting and immediately the most promising is that dealing with alternating currents. My brain is only a receiver. In the universe, there is a core from which we obtain knowledge, strength, and inspiration. I have not penetrated the secrets of this core, but I know that it exists. I have already demonstrated, by crucial tests, the practicability of signaling by my system from one to any other point of the globe, no matter how remote, and I shall soon convert the disbelievers. The spread of civilization may be likened to a fire, first, a feeble spark, next to a flickering flame, then a mighty blaze, ever increasing in speed and power. Today's scientists have substituted mathematics for experiments, and they wander off through equation after equation, and eventually build a structure which has no relation to reality. I constructed a laboratory in the neighborhood of Pikes Peak. The conditions in the pure air of the Colorado mountains proved extremely favorable for my experiments, and the results were most gratifying to me. It is paradoxical, yet true, to say that the more we know, the more ignorant we become in the absolute sense, for it is only through enlightenment that we become conscious of our limitations. Precisely one of the most gratifying results of intellectual evolution is the continuous opening up of new and greater prospects. In a time not distant, it will be possible to flash any image formed in thought on a screen and render it visible at any place desired. The perfection of this means of reading thought will create a revolution for the better in all our social relations. As in nature, all is ebb and tide, all is wave motion, so it seems that in all branches of industry, alternating currents, electric wave motion, will have the sway. Be alone, that is the secret of invention. Be alone, that is when ideas are born. The feeling is constantly growing on me that I had been the first to hear the greeting of one planet to another. The human being is a self-propelled automaton entirely under the control of external influences. Willful and predetermined though they appear, his actions are governed not from within, but from without. He is like a float tossed about by the waves of a turbulent sea. The gift of mental power comes from God, divine being, and if we concentrate our minds on that truth, we become in tune with this great power. Let the future tell the truth, and evaluate each one according to his work and accomplishments. The present is theirs, the future, for which I worked, is mine. It's not the love you make. It's the love you give. Misunderstandings are always caused by the inability of appreciating one another's point of view. The earth is bountiful, and where her bounty fails, nitrogen drawn from the air will fertilize her womb. I developed a process for this purpose in 1900. It was perfected 14 years later under the stress of war by German chemists. Instinct is something which transcends knowledge. We have, undoubtedly, certain finer fibers that enable us to perceive truths when logical deduction, or any other willful effort of the brain, is futile. Of all frictional resistances, the one that most retards human movement is ignorance, what Buddha called the greatest evil in the world. The friction which results from ignorance can be reduced only by the spread of knowledge and the unification of the heterogeneous elements of humanity. No effort could be better spent. The scientists of today think deeply instead of clearly. One must be sane to think clearly, but one can think deeply and be quite insane.